A little rust catalyst on there if I ever have to take it off again. Not much. It's a small amount. This came off the old part. We keep this ring. Put the brand new nut on. I'm not going to save the old one. This one's rusty. This came with the part. If it comes new, use it. This will actually pull the axle out a little bit. That's okay. It'll bottom out. This is just connecting the axle to the hub. I'm not going to make it extremely tight. That's tight enough. There's a bearing in there. You don't want to make it too tight. It'll push on the bearing. Wear it out.
What are those pieces?
This is a compression ring. In case this nut starts to come loose, it'll hold it back. This keeps the nut from turning at all. It'll stay exactly where it is, or it should. And this holds it on. It's a cotter pin to get the 0 speed sensor back on. This goes underneath. It's a 0 speed sensor. It's just a magnetic sensor. It goes under here, right next to the drive shaft. That behind the brake. It's a little tricky. But if you don't take this off, you run the risk of hitting it. And I don't know how much new sensors are, but I don't think you want to be running down to the parts store. I'm sure you do that enough. Now I'm going to put the brake back on. I had it hung up here with some zip ties so it didn't hang by the hose. Put the rotor back on. Alright, when we started, we had the brake on, we had the collar, the ring behind the collar, and the cotter pin. You have to make sure these are on. If not, if this nut comes loose, it will turn itself out. Your wheel won't fall off, but your drive shaft will slop around and you ruin the whole thing. You have to do this all over again. Make sure all of this is on. Even though you made that tight, it may not stay that way. Alright, when we started this is the original hub nut. We took the tire off. Before we do anything else, take this cotter pin and the collar off and attempt to get this nut off. Someone can step on the brake to help you with that so this does not move. What we did, we took PB Blaster, I sprayed it on here. We drove the car around for about a week till we could actually get this off. You may have to use an impact wrench, a torch, breaker bar, or all the above to get this thing off, but we sprayed this on, drove it around for a week, and it pretty much came off with a breaker bar and a wrench like this. So let's make sure when you take these parts off, you lay them out and put them in order so you don't lose them or mix them up or what have you, but we're taking the old bolt and that's getting thrown away. We have a brand new one on there. Alright, on the ground here is pretty much all the tools that I used. Did it in my driveway. Wasn't impossible. First thing we did, took PB Blaster, sprayed it on the hub nuts, drove it around for a couple of days. We're going to need a breaker at least 18 inches long. Take an iron pipe, a couple of people, and it'll snap right off.
What size is that?
That is a 36 millimeter. It's hard to find the one in 3/8 inches. 36 millimeter will fit just fine on there.
Where'd you get it?
We got that at Sears.
How much was it?
It was $8. And if it breaks, you get a new one. Needle nose or cutters to get the cotter pin out to slide it off the nut. The zip ties we use to tie up the brakes. This is small. That is a 8 millimeter to get the 0-speed sensor off. This is a 1/2 inch standard socket to get the brakes off. A couple of regular screwdrivers to get the 3 hub bolts off. This is a 1/2 inch 12-point socket. You're going to need that to get that off. You cannot use a regular socket. And or a 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter crescent with a 12-inch point in case you can't get in there with the socket. And a hammer. That's it.
The old ones?
Old ones. They need to be replaced a long time ago. Like I said before, if you don't have a workbench and some specialized tools, I wouldn't even suggest taking this apart and putting a new joint in there. These were only $60-some a piece. Didn't cost that much. Now I'm sure they'll last another 100,000 miles. And some standard wheel bearing grease. That's about it. Took what, about an hour aside?
Yeah.
That's it.